How many of you remember the voice that dominated R&B in the 90s and 2000s? The voice that filled arenas, won awards, and shaped a generation. For millions, R. Kelly wasn't just a musician, he was a legend. But what if the same fame that made him untouchable also helped hide something far more disturbing? What if behind the spotlight, behind the applause, and behind the carefully crafted image, an entire criminal system was operating in plain sight for over 2 decades? Because that is exactly what prosecutors would later reveal, that R. Kelly didn't simply break the law. He allegedly built an enterprise around himself, one designed to recruit, control, and silence those he targeted. And the truth is, it took the justice system more than 25 years to fully unravel it. Before the world understood the full scope, the environment around Kelly was already dangerous. Picture the height of his career: fans chasing tour buses, crowds lining up backstage, young people dreaming of being discovered or mentored by a global star. The power imbalance was immense. For someone hoping for a chance in the music industry, an invitation from R. Kelly felt like opportunity. But prosecutors say that same excitement, that hope, was exactly what the enterprise relied on. Behind the scenes, Kelly had people who made his life run smoothly: managers, assistants, drivers, security guards. But according to prosecutors, they did much more than that. They created access. They handled the logistics. They followed his instructions without question. They were the gatekeepers, the messengers, and sometimes the silencers. Whether out of loyalty, fear, denial, or financial dependence, the people around Kelly helped maintain a world where he had full control and almost no oversight. And even though rumors followed him for years, nothing ever seemed to stick. There were stories about strict rules, sudden disappearances, and young women being isolated from friends and family. Some employees later testified that they noticed unsettling behaviors. Others admitted they were told not to ask questions. Lawsuits would come and go, settlements would quietly appear, and then everything continued as usual. In the entertainment world, whispers became background noise, and the machine kept running. But eventually, that silence broke. What changed the entire trajectory of the case was a bold move by federal prosecutors. Instead of treating the accusations as separate incidents, they used the RICO Act, a law meant for dismantling organized crime. With RICO, they argued that Kelly's behavior wasn't random or sporadic. It was coordinated, planned, structured. A criminal enterprise built around his fame, enforced by his inner circle, and maintained through fear, loyalty, and control. The trial in New York lasted 6 intense weeks. One witness after another described a world with strict rules. Rules about when they could speak, when they could eat, how they had to dress, and who they were allowed to communicate with. Former staff members detailed the lengths Kelly went to in order to isolate people. Victims explained how they felt trapped, manipulated, or coerced. Some described the emotional and psychological control he held over them. Others revealed how recordings or written letters were used as leverage to keep them quiet. One incident stood out even decades later: the illegal marriage to Aaliyah. Prosecutors said a government employee was bribed to obtain a false ID for her when she was underage. It was a key example demonstrating how far Kelly and his team were willing to go to maintain control, and how long the enterprise had been operating. On September 27, 2021, the jury reached its conclusion. R. Kelly was found guilty on all counts, including racketeering and violations of the Mann Act. When the judge sentenced him to 30 years in federal prison the following year, she made it clear that this was not a simple case of fame gone wrong. She said Kelly used his influence, his wealth, and his network of enablers to prey on the young, the vulnerable, and the voiceless. For many survivors, it was the first time they felt heard, But his legal troubles didn't end there. After the New York conviction, Kelly faced a second federal trial in Chicago. This one focused on producing child pornography and enticing minors. Again, the evidence was overwhelming. Again, he was convicted. In 2023, he received another 20-year sentence, though most of it runs alongside his original prison term. Only 1 year was added separately. In total, he now faces 31 years behind bars, effectively a life sentence. The fall of R. Kelly isn't just a story about a musician who committed crimes. It's a story about what happens when power goes unquestioned, when fame creates silence, and when people around someone choose loyalty over morality. It forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. How many people suspected something but looked away? How long did victims wait to be believed? And how did a system like this survive for decades in the public eye? Today, the music is quiet, the spotlight is gone, and the man once celebrated as a musical genius sits in federal prison. But the case continues to echo, not because of who he was, but because of what the system around him allowed him to become. If stories like this matter to you, if you believe that truth should never be buried under fame, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and stay with us. There are more stories to uncover, and more voices that deserve to be heard.